Trade Genius.
What's going on, guys? Philip at Trade Genius. Wanted to point out that Bitcoin seems to have definitely broken out of the correlation with the S&P 500. You'll see here with the blue line, this is the S&P 500, and it's just made a series of lower highs, whereas Bitcoin is making higher highs and really started breaking off back here, October 23rd, so about a week ago, we started to break away. We've had brief windows where Bitcoin would break up away from the price of the S&P 500, but then they would eventually catch up over the course of the next few bars. This is a 30-minute chart, but I think it's pretty clear to see now. This is a pretty sustained move where Bitcoin is making higher lows, higher highs, and the S&P 500 is making lower lows and lower highs. Now, there is going to be a lot of volatility going into the election, so you want to be aware. But as far as Bitcoin's price structure goes, I mean, this is like a textbook parabolic structure setting up here where you have your bases forming and then a move up and then another base forming. So we'd be looking for another move up, another base forming. What's interesting about these levels, though, is we're getting into areas of resistance on the longer term charts. If we look at the daily, for example, all right, so here's the daily chart. One thing I'll point out, RSI is getting a bit toppy. When you get into these upper RSI readings, I tend to look for divergences at that point. So what that means is if the price makes a higher high and RSI does not make a higher high, that's a warning sign. And then look for other clues. Here's a series of sniper cell signals that come in. And then you look for break of these uptrending lows, and that's usually your first crack in the dam. Then you'll see like a inverted head and shoulder pattern here, which is bearish, and then you had a liquidation breakdown. So that's oftentimes how the moves end. But you also want to be aware of when things are have the parabolic structure, and that's what we have now. So daily wise, what we're looking at, actually you really need to go out to the weekly. You'll notice we took out the fib extension this week also. We tapped last weekly candle, hit it to the T, pulled back. So this Fibonacci range is done. But what I want to point out to you guys is these lows here. These lows have just been, and this is from our all-time high run. These lows have always been an issue for the price of Bitcoin. As you remember, the Ponzi scheme that came up, I mean, ran right into that and hit resistance. And so we're in that zone again. If we basically highlight this area, if you just look at those wicks, any weekly close above this level is going to be extremely, extremely bullish. And then also, too, if we get a weekly close above that 13,900 level, if you remember that from the previous video, that's our quarterly breakout level. And so if we get that, that's generally the type of move that we never see lower prices again on Bitcoin. So it's really, really important area that we're into here. Now, would I be surprised if we ran into the resistance up here and pulled back some? Not at all, because I think what ends up happening is when you have an area like this where there was a lot of support and then it broke down, market mechanics is going to treat that as resistance. You could have people that are in from this price level long term that are just happy to get out finally at break even. They're tired of holding it. So that's some of the reasons why these old levels will resist when they're revisited. But what's more important to note, I think, is how this market is now breaking away from the S&P 500. Also the dollar too, something I haven't covered, but the dollar correlation, if the dollars was going down, Bitcoin was going up. Now we have a case where dollars actually spiking up here and Bitcoin's running with it. So it's just an extremely healthy, strong signal. Again, I just want to show you guys that the correlation is breaking off here, pretty consistent. And that's something I welcome, because it's nice not to be thinking about or looking at another instrument, wondering what it's doing, because, it can drag down on the price of Bitcoin. Now you can kind of look at the price structure on Bitcoin independently if this continues to do what it's doing. So all really bullish and encouraging things. So again, buying pullbacks is definitely a go. I prefer to stay a little more conservative. I like to watch the 4-hour chart and watch those moving averages, because at some point we're going to tag this lower one. And typically Bitcoin has no problem pulling back 20%. Even if we got a 20% pullback here, I mean, that takes you down to high 10s, low 11s, right? So, and that's nothing. A 20% pullback on Bitcoin is absolutely nothing. So you're basically going to be looking, I think eventually that pullback is going to pay to get long. If you are going to chase these levels, then you really have to go down to the smaller time frames and trade those swings. And what you can do is you can just like look at the 30-minute, for example. Obviously, we're in an uptrend. So when the fulcrum changes colors, again, if you want that, head over to tradegenius.co and check out our packages with the fulcrum indicator. But you know, right now it's on your smaller time frames, you're looking to buy dips against this 30-minute trend. So if you drill down to like a 5-minute, you essentially want to just buy when this thing is. You're going to look for buys when it turns red in the 5-minute, and then that's going to get you positioned for the next move higher. That's really a great approach on trading this. So there you have it. A lot of volume coming in, very bullish, dollars going up, not affecting the price of Bitcoin. The demand for spot is very high right now. So, you know, I think you have to respect that when Bitcoin gets in this mode, altcoins are going to get smashed a bit in terms of Bitcoin till it takes a break. But do not underestimate the moves that we can see here. Do not be shorting this thing unless you've got a very tight stop, because once we start breaking into these levels and getting above this area of resistance, you could be near 20,000 all-time highs before you know it. That's just the nature of the beast. So these are just levels that we haven't spent a lot of time. There's not a lot of price history up in here. And so it is interesting to see us get it back up here and how it reacts. But we could see a huge short squeeze. Don't be surprised if we see that. It will pull back. Don't be worried about being left behind if you haven't gotten in on this move yet. Just be patient. You will get an opportunity back in. All right, guys, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Please hit like and subscribe. Appreciate it. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.